Hi everyone, I've got a pre and postnatal core training series here for you. And I want to go over a few really important things when it comes to training your core. Both pre and postnatal, it's very important to have a strong and controlled midsection. So your transverse abdominis, your deep core muscles, the muscles of your pelvic floor which support your entire abdomen, as well as your diaphragm, all work together to give you a strong and controlled center. Now, one of the most difficult things to do is actually control and feel where all of these three muscle groups are. The diaphragm being the most difficult. It actually just works as a pump and moves up with your inhale and it moves down with your exhale, just pumping that breath through your abdomen. One of the most common mistakes with breathing is that we use our shoulders. So on the inhale, you might lift your shoulders high, and on the exhale, they drop. I want you to watch yourself in the mirror and make sure you're not a shoulder breather. What you really want to do is wrap your hands around your ribs so you can feel the back of your ribs with your thumbs, you feel the side of your ribs, and you feel the front. On the inhale through your nose, you should be able to feel your belly expand, and you should feel front, back, and side of the ribs start to expand as well. When you exhale through pursed lips and feel everything contract. Your belly gets smaller, the ribs start to pull together, and then you want to feel yourself lift that pelvic floor. So if you try that, wrap your hands around the ribs, inhale through the nose, so the belly and the ribs expand, and then exhale. Everything should tighten and lift. So if you watch yourself in the mirror, you should really see that expansion and you should see that contraction. So you want to practice that. That's called 360 breathing. It's very important to be able to control your abdomen. Now the second thing is alignment. We have to be in neutral alignment so we don't put too much pressure on the linea alba. The linea alba is a tissue that runs from the center, the top center of the ribs, all the way down to the pubic bone. And what we want to really prevent is any stretching or pull or extra intra-abdominal pressure on that tissue. Already when the stomach expands, you're going to put extra pressure on that tissue. That's going to result in diastasis recti, or DR, which is basically the separation of the abdomen. So we really want to be cognizant that we're not standing, not in alignment, so your hips might pop back, especially as you get pregnant. You're really going to start arching the back. Think about neutral alignment, so pull your hips forward. So practice tucking the hips forward so you're one straight line from your ear to your shoulder to your hips, knees, and ankles. So if you look at yourself sideways in a mirror, you should not be tilting the pelvis backwards. So I want you to tuck the hips, and as you do that, you can feel yourself contract the abdomen. So contract, tuck, and then you're in neutral alignment. Okay, so 360 breathing, feeling the ribs expand and then come together while you lift that pelvic floor. Neutral alignment, those are the two most important things when it comes to training and tightening and strengthening your core. So let's keep all of those things in mind. Come on down to your mat. We're going to go through some core exercises here. We're only going to start with that neutral alignment to begin. So I want you to lie on your back and think about, have your feet planted. Think about that space between you and the ground getting smaller as you tuck your hips. And all I want you to do is press your entire spine as hard as you can against the ground. You shouldn't lift your hips up off the ground. So just tuck the pelvis, push your entire spine against the ground. You should really feel the transverse abdominis, those deep core muscles start to contract, and hold. Press as hard as you can for 10, 9, 8, 7, keep pushing, don't give up here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, relax, good. The second one we're going to do, the same position, now we're going to add movement. So right away, tuck those hips, press against the ground as hard as you can. Now slide one heel out to a straight leg. And as you slide out, don't give up pressure. Make sure nothing can get between you and the floor. Slide that foot back, hold for a second, keep your tension, other leg, slide out, and slide in. Good. Try not to give up that pressure. You'll notice when you extend the leg, you're going to want to lift your back up off the ground. Keep that pressure. Pull the pelvic floor in and up. Good. So pressure against the ground. You should really start feeling this. I feel this quite a bit already. Extend and up. Let's go one more each leg. Keep pressing into the floor. Push, push, push. And up. Try not to let the hips rock side to side. Really still. And break. Hug those knees into your chest. So you notice when we start adding movement, it gets a little bit more difficult. So we're going to go into the same starting position. Again, tucking the hips, so pelvis tilts, your whole back is pressing, and then all I want you to do is let your one knee, so the right knee, fall out to the side without the left hip coming off the ground. So that's the key here, digging both hip bones, or the back of your hip bones I should say, into the ground. So get that tuck, hold. Now let the right knee fall wide without the left hip moving. Pull it back up. Let the left leg fall wide. This one's tough. Really contract those transverse abdominis. We are pressing and creating tension through your center. And also work your Kegels. Get the pelvic floor pulling in and up towards your center. Good. Keep going side to side. You should really feel that, you guys. Good. Out to the side. And up. One more. Out to the side. And break. Good. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more movement into this. If you want to stick with just the pressure and the tucking of the hips, hold there, or you can move on to this next one. We're lifting the feet off the ground, knees at 90 degrees. My left hand is going to press into my right knee. First, you're going to get your tension, so create tension. Press as hard as you can into your knee. So we're pressing knee into hand, hand into knee, back into the ground, and hold for 5, 4, this is super intense if you're pushing with all you've got, 2, 1, break, good, and let's try the other side, ready, knees bent, let's go, right hand, left knee, first create tension by pushing your back into the ground, tuck the hips, press, go, 10, 8, 5, 3, 1, and break. Good. Okay, let's move along. The next one, the legs are still off the ground. I want your arms straight up right over your chest. So here we're going to get our tension. So create that tension through your center, no space between you and the ground, and then slowly extend opposite arm and leg. This is a very slow movement. Now, think about your lower back. Is it lifted at all? Press into the ground as hard as you can. Keep pressing. Come back up to center. Okay, reset if you need to. Pressing into the ground. If you do this one slowly and you don't have any lift of your low or mid back off the ground, you should feel this. Come right back up. Good. Again, extend slowly. If this is too advanced, maybe just the arms or just the legs. The most important part here is that tension against the ground and that pelvic tilt. Stay with a neutral alignment here. And up. Let's go one more each side. Extend. And up. Last one. Extend. And up. Very good. Hug the knees into the chest. Just rock side to side. Okay, second last exercise here. Plant those feet again. Now, what we're going to do here is a rolling glute bridge. So we're not going to come right up to that full glute bridge. What I want you to do is start by tucking your pelvis. So tuck the hips so your entire back presses against the floor. And then start lifting the hips. It's almost like it's a wave. The hips come off only to the mid-back, and then slowly crawl your vertebrae back down, the tailbone touching last. Okay, so tuck the hips, lift the tailbone, peel those vertebrae one at a time off the ground, and then slowly roll them right back down. So you should only be coming off the ground until about your mid-back. So let's do 6 of those in a row. Ready? Tuck, wave up, and then one vertebrae at a time, back down. There's 1. Tuck, roll and wave up. Slowly down. There's 2. Again, tuck, slow and controlled lift. Slowly down. Again, go. Don't forget about the pelvic floor. Lift up and in on the exhale. Good. Inhale. Exhale. And down. Let's go one more. Inhale. Exhale. And right back down. Perfect. Come on up to the hands and knees. We're going to finish here in a modified plank. I know a lot of you, especially early on in your pregnancy, no problem doing a high plank or a regular plank. But as you start growing in your belly, and even right after you give birth, postpartum, you really want to be careful of that linea alba, that you're not putting extra pressure on it. So if you're in a full plank, all that gravity is pulling down, putting extra pressure on that tissue, and you're going to end up with that separated abdomen. So come onto the forearms here. I want you to stay on your knees. Now, even if you're early on in your pregnancy, I want you to practice this. Make sure you're one straight line from your knee up to your shoulder, and get that pelvic tilt. So right away you should feel your abs fire up. It's almost like you're trying to shorten the space between your bottom rib and the top of your hip bone. So get that squeeze. And you should only be able to hold it for about 20 or 30 seconds. Let's go for 10. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Watch your in neutral alignment. I don't want to see your hips up. So watch yourself in a mirror. Get a good strong tuck. 5, 3, 2, 1, and break. We're going to do that one more time. So come on forward again. 20-second hold here. Ready? Tuck and hold. If this is too intense for you, if you're very far along into your pregnancy, skip this one. If it puts too much pressure on your abdomen, and you will know, you'll feel like there's some extra pressure there. So you can relieve it at any time and move on from this one. 5, tuck, squeeze the abs, pull in that pelvic floor. 2, 1, and break. Good. So you'll notice there that we're trying to avoid exercises that put extra pressure on that tissue, okay, that keep us in neutral alignment and that work our breath so that our pelvic floor is being activated. You want to avoid any sort of twisting, okay, where your shoulders separate from your hips. If you're twisting and your hips are following with your shoulders, no problem. But if you're twisting away and the hips are not following, you're putting extra strain on that tissue. So avoid twisting. Avoid any extension, maybe upward dog, where you're stretching out that tissue. Avoid flexion like crunches and sit-ups. The best thing you can do is always pay attention to neutral alignment. That's why I was lying on the floor for most of those, so you can feel your entire spine pressing in a neutral position against the ground. Great work. I'll put in some more videos to progress from these ones, but start here. Get good at breathing that 360 breath. Get good at finding your neutral spine and your pelvic floor. Great job, and we'll see you soon.